listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn pus-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
So we were just talking during the break that, when you're looking at, comparison, when you look at the conversation that's being had about oil and gas prices, when you're looking at the conversation about inflation around consumer goods, one of the reasons why everybody's getting away with sort of clickbait doom and gloom is it's twofold. One is they're going by last year's numbers when nothing was happening. Businesses were closed. That if you're looking at like the right, and the idea that they're somehow decrying the price of beef right now when Trump sold China the largest order of beef in American history after he had started believing apparently that they hit us with a bioweapon. This is his belief system. So yeah, again, I guess we owe Chamberlain's family an apology. Is that what's happening? Largest order of beef in American history to the Chinese, while Americans were in bread lines, were in food lines. In June, remember those long car roads where people were getting bags of groceries because nobody had a job and a lot of the UI hadn't kicked in a lot of places yet, or in Republican states especially, they make it extra hard because they figure if they make it too easy, you'll be lazy instead of just making it too big a deal and driving people into harsher poverty, driving crime rates up because you're like, what's easier, selling drugs or filling out an unemployment form? Like at a certain point. But so one of the cases that they make is that gas is way up. Gas per gallon, oh my God, it's way up. And it's up. It definitely is up. But it's up in a mitigatory fashion if you erase the COVID drop. If you and again, this goes to the number versus the percentage. Whenever someone in the news is going 500%, there's been 1,000%, and it's especially when it's in a headline, then go, all right, what's the actual number? And if they give you a single number, then percentage-wise, what is that? Because it might seem big. 10,000 people have been charged with a certain kind of crime. And you're like, in a country of 340 million people, that's not surprising. In a county of 12,000 might be a big deal. So I kind of need to know. And that's why, many people will know that Trump famously shunned the concept of per capita because he likes it when it works in his favor and doesn't.
And when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
There's so many per capita.
There's so many per capitas. There's a lot of per capitas. There's like mega capitas, which is the one that matters and nobody else does. So one of the things that you're seeing a bunch of this stuff is that, the height of the price, May 2019, right before summer, which is, what you judge usually the peak is May because the gas companies know everybody's going to be traveling. You're going to drive further. The family's going to pile everybody in the SUV and drive or rent an RV and drive to see family for the summer or go on a trip. So they jack up the price and it's their Black Friday. Summer is the gas companies, time to make hay. And so that's what they do. So all summer long, you'll see it. But May is the spike one because they've just gotten out of school, and that's when most people will take the driving trip immediately. Go drive and see family, right? Take kids to camp. Stuff that requires a longer drive. And so you can milk them for it. And if you look at the chart, it will always say it. May is always the spike point. So May in 2019, gas was $2.94 a gallon. $3, right? It is up 40 cents on average since then. Okay? It is up 40 cents since the May price of 2019. It is technically, if you want to go for it, it's down 30 cents from June of 2014. It's down 25 cents from March of 2013. It's down 60 cents from April of 2012. Gas, you'll be happy to know, is down almost $1 from July 2008. Now, what do all those dates have in common, though? One is they weren't last year. They were the year before last year. And there was not, in any of those cases, a worldwide pandemic the year previous. Hear me now. Understand what I'm saying to you. Gas and fuel prices in those years were significantly higher than they are right now, and there wasn't even a pandemic. Now, in the case of 2008,
even a pandemic.
No, in the case of 2008 and the crash, that happened right after gas prices were at their worst and on their way up. In many ways, that reset the growth cycle of fuel costs for a period of time. And the Obama administration set a policy basically to keep it below $4, and damn, did they not manage to do it. It bumped right along. It just needled right up there, but never crested over that in the average. And some people are calling out the $7 a gallon in California. That station that everybody talks about in the news where it's $7.70. Do you know how much gas was at that station in 2008? It was $11.60 a gallon. 11. That's what happens when you fill your tank in the middle of nowhere. And you know, it's like, fill my tank, or 3 miles from here, get abducted by hillbillies and get used as a genetic experiment to decouple the rings in their family tree. So, yes, is gas up from last year? Yeah. But it's down from, 8 years previous, and 10 years previous, and 6 years previous, and 5 years previous. This is crucial to the conversation. It is unfair to the consumer and the average American citizen listening to not speak to them like adults about this kind of stuff, especially since last year people lost their entire life savings, their businesses, when like the biggest government intervention in 100 years had to happen simply because it was that bad. And now they're like, well, it's, this is policy in the last 6 months. It's nonsense. Gas prices are high, but they've been high before, and not because we just came out of a recession. And these oil companies, I don't know why everybody is talking about them like they are public citizens. That's the part that boggles my mind. You know, while accusing the left of wanting to nationalize oil like Venezuela, the right wing says this all the time, apparently they are all in on the concept that there's such a thing as American oil. There ain't.
Yeah. That drives me bonkers.
Yeah. And the Canadian shale oil that would have come through our country and gone all the way to the Gulf of Mexico using the Keystone pipeline, or the one that currently uses the Line 5 pipeline that the Republicans are talking about, that goes through Michigan and has flooded 1.1 million gallons of oil into the Kalamazoo River in one of its major spills and constantly leaks into Lake Michigan. That's not American oil. That's not American energy. It's Canadian shale oil. It's the crappiest, most hard to filter version of oil that you can get.
Worst
and it's
tasting,
not ours.
if you ask me. It's got this, once you get maple
it's got
anywhere.
It's got stevia, you can tell.
Yeah,
but the point I'm trying to make
never
is
goes away. Like I wash my hands, rinse my face, and there's still just
you can
maple.
always smell it. It's like walking by Steve Bannon. The smell stays with you for a week. I kind of hijacked this segment, in talking about this, but it's really about the conversation in the news. This is really not about there are things that can be done about consumer prices and buying stuff and there are things that can't. And when it's U.S. policy that's causing some of these problems, then we as citizens should be up in arms about it and should be dealing with it as such. That seems logical. But when it is a worldwide problem, this idea that we should be on some sort of privileged, excised island from the rest of the world, like Elysium or some nonsense, and that the fact that there is a worldwide energy crunch and a supply chain issue that is worldwide should not bother, apply to us, is insanity. And it's an embarrassing part of the conversation. I know why Fox is doing it. I don't know why everyone else is doing it. That's rough. That's confusing. Now, when we come back, what I originally wanted to talk about is the fact that Chris Christie is writing a book that's coming out Monday, I guess. He wrote a book that's coming out Monday, and that is basically he's putting an oar in the water to get the party away from Trump. Not a heavy effort, but he does sort of call him nuts in the process. We'll be back.